This right here is the brand new PS5 Pro. We just got one in the Overclock Media office, and I want to find out if this mid-cycle refresh is worth the hype Sony is drumming up. Let's jump right in. When Sony announced the PS5 Pro, I was a bit skeptical of how worth it this thing would be. Spoiler alert, yes, this is the most powerful PS5 you can buy today, and of course, it offers a plethora of awesome quality of life features over the standard console that might make it worth it for some gamers. However, on the other hand, the PS5 Pro retails for a whopping $700. PlayStation diehard or not, this price point isn't just a drop in the bucket, especially when you can buy the standard console for anywhere between $350 used to $500. I actually harped on this point quite a bit in a YouTube short that I released right after this thing was announced, and at least I thought my points were fairly balanced, but inevitably you do get both Sony ponies and Sony haters shooting the messenger from both sides in the discourse. So I guess I have to make it clear, but I have no stake in this. I'm just curious as someone that makes videos on gaming hardware and technology about whether the PS5 Pro is worth it, not just today, but especially looking down the line at the next couple of years of gaming. Because again, with a $700 price point, I would hope so. As I wait for the PS5 Pro to update right behind me, let's break down what we actually get in the box. Apart from the PS5 Pro itself, you get a slate of simple accessories, including your figure 8 power cable, a USB-C to C cable to charge your controller using one of the 2 USB-C ports in the front, especially coming from an original PS5 which had one USB-C and one USB-A. Honestly, having 2 USB-Cs is more useful for me personally. And it's also nice that they still include an HDMI 2.1 in the box. Beyond the cables, of course, the PS5 Pro does come with a controller, but sadly, it's just a standard DualSense. For the $700 price tag, it would have been nice for them to honestly include the DualSense Edge, their Pro-style controller, which I guess would have been somewhat of a tall order in the scheme of value. After all, Sony wants to maximize their profits. But regardless, I think this console would have been a much better sell if they included their best controller to make this a proper Pro setup. Off to my right, normally I would disregard the included literature, but supposedly we actually have a spec list this year right inside. Yeah, specifications. CPU is a Zen 2 based Ryzen with 8 cores and 16 threads. We already knew that. And for GPU, 16.7 T-flops RDNA based graphics engine. For RAM, we have 16 gigs of GDDR6 as well as 2 gigs of DDR5. There is a lot of mumbo jumbo here, but basically Sony is claiming that we can expect about 45% faster rendering thanks to more T-flops from the GPU as well as more available RAM. The huge benefit here is having the extra power to leverage Sony's new AI upscaler, PSSR. And what this does is basically add additional sharpness and detail to games without taking a crazy hit to performance. I'm going to absolutely have some playtime with the game in just a second once this update is finished, so stay tuned. But taking a look at the actual design of the PS5 Pro, it does follow the same design language that we saw from the Slim last year. Funny enough, even though the faceplates from the Slim might look like they would fit on the Pro, the actual way they are mounted onto the console are slightly different, which is a shame because Sony does release color shells that would be nice to put on the Pro, especially if you are coming from a Slim and already own some of those. But I guess that's their way of making you spend even more money. But probably my main issue that comes with the PS5 Pro is the fact that under here, you aren't getting a disk drive. This is where the disk drive would be. Now, you guys don't have to lecture me on the pros and cons of physical and digital media in this generation of gaming. I actually touched on that subject more or less in a video a couple of weeks ago. If I were to buy a PS5 Pro personally with my own money, the fact that I would also have to include an $80 disk drive add-on just to play my discs, especially since I own GT7 on Blu-ray and don't have a digital digital copy. That honestly sucks considering that the console costs as much as it does. Now, in all fairness to Sony, the PS5 Pro does include 2 terabytes of storage included, which is an upgrade from the original console, but I have a feeling that that's not even enough for a lot of people. If you are considering buying this as a serious PlayStation user, you're probably going to want to upgrade the SSD in here regardless to 4 or even max out to the 8 terabytes that this can do. Which, man, this PS5 Pro can get so expensive even after you bought it. Okay, but putting that aside, what really matters the most are the games themselves. What are the actual benefits of using the PS5 Pro over the standard console that I'm used to? As I mentioned in the past, probably the game that I played the most on PS5 is Gran Turismo 7, clocking in around 300 hours in the game. But sadly, GT7 isn't getting its PS5 Pro patch in time for the console's launch, so I'm going to have to revisit this a little later on, perhaps on YouTube Shorts. But one game I am interested in trying out is F124, which supposedly has seen quite a substantial graphics upgrade with the PS5 Pro. So what I'm gonna do here is first play the standard PS5 version of F124, and then jump to the PS5 Pro to see what the differences are actually like. I should preface that I've never actually played F124 before, though I have tried previous installments of the series, so this is gonna be a pretty fresh take all around. Totally unplanned, I'm actually wearing my Red Bull Racing garb right now, so might as well be Max Verstappen. The game looks pretty decent. I think I've seen better visuals on PC for sure, so the stock standard PS5 experience does look at least fairly sharp. Looks okay, at least from my viewing distance from the TV. Okay, well, I'm racing pretty poorly right now, kind of ramming into people, though maybe that is kind of par for the course. I am Max Verstappen, I'm method acting. But considering that we have a pretty wet racing surface, the floor itself doesn't look like it's reflecting a lot of light. Overall, F124 on the standard PS5 looks okay, especially from this viewing distance that I have from my TV, though it's not the most detailed thing in the world. The lighting especially looks pretty flat. But I guess in the scheme of gameplay, it's nothing that would really bother me all that much. And just for the sake of clarity, I did have the game in its graphics priority mode just for the sake of visuals. Now I have F124 all set up on the PS5 Pro. And just for the sake of equal comparison, I'm going to be playing the game in the quality graphics setting, since that's what I ran on the standard PS5. Oh yeah, the lighting looks way more realistic. There's more reflections coming off the ground that has to be that ray tracing in this quality mode that we're playing in. You especially notice more contrast now, I think, with the lighting. The shadows are way more aggressive. It makes the image honestly feel way more lifelike, though my racing is still trash. Dude, the reflections off the car. Yo, okay. F124 is definitely an improvement. Oh, that is gorgeous. Holy shit. The sun reflecting off of the safety car looks great too. Yeah, and I definitely feel like we're getting pretty close, if not at a smooth 60 FPS in this quality mode. You get a lot of haziness, especially driving through some portions of the track, and when you get some flares and whatnot, which is great. The reflections off of the cars look even better in the daylight. Yeah, now I want to go back to Spa on the standard PS5 and see what that looks like. Yeah, I think Spa on the standard PS5 does still look pretty decent, but there is that little bit of oomph missing. The lighting off of the car isn't as dynamic. We're not getting that ray tracing like we were on the PS5 Pro. Oh, here we go. It's my opportunity to shine! Lando Norris in the gravel because I'm Max Verstappen! Now, even though I've only been playing on the quality graphics settings on F124, there are also performance modes on both the standard and Pro models of the PS5. Where the standard console would just top out at 1440p resolution internally, the PS5 Pro does kick it up all the way to 4K, which is really nice. And I think that's kind of the story of what you can expect with the PS5 Pro moving forward. In other games that also have quality and performance modes to choose from, In the performance modes, you're just going to get higher resolution and slightly better detail, and the quality modes could potentially offer higher frame rates, if not just more consistent 60 FPS, which generally speaking is a win for the PS5 Pro. Okay, so we've seen how the PS5 Pro can optimize gameplay for existing PS5 games, but what does the value look like overall, especially as an investment into this latter half of the current gaming generation? Unless you're really pixel peeping between consoles, which I can't imagine most people will be doing on a normal basis, I don't think springing for the performance bump is necessarily worth it for everyone, regardless of what those Sony ponies might say. Yeah, there's the meme that PS5 has no games, which I do think is a bit overplayed, to be fair. But personally, I don't have much in the PS5 library just yet that interests me at the moment, though I think that'll probably change soon. The one game on the horizon that I think a lot of people are thinking about when it comes to the PS5 Pro is Grand Theft Auto 6. As the most anticipated game probably of this generation, the amount of time it'll take to play the campaign, as well as whatever replayability there is to the successor of GTA Online that Rockstar has lined up, I can see both of these aspects making GTA 6 a proper killer app that could move units for the PS5 Pro down the line. Outside of that, I'm also looking forward to seeing what Ghost of Yotei will look like on the PS5 Pro, because it's probably going to be gorgeous. But personally, that's all I'm interested in right now when it comes to what I would probably play on a PS5 Pro. And I'm going to need more if I'm going to move on that purchase decision. Keep in mind, I don't think the PS5 Pro is necessarily going to be a dud in terms of sales per se, but it's not like it's selling like hotcakes either. You can still easily buy one for launch day, and I think that stems from the fact that most people are likely going to be satisfied with the base PS5 for quite a long time. Hell, when GTA 6 inevitably comes out, we might even be thinking about next-gen consoles by then, which certainly eats into the prospects of people wanting a PS5 Pro. This doesn't change the fact that a lot of diehards and gaming enthusiasts out there will want to buy the best of the best, and the PS5 Pro is the best PS5 you can buy today, and even trumps a lot of PCs that you can build at its price point. Though whether or not you actually need this extra performance is another story. At least for right now, I would argue it's not necessary, though especially down the line once we have especially new releases that take advantage of the hardware, then it might be worth it. But let me know, what do you guys think about the PS5 Pro in the comments below? I'm sure you have a lot to say. And otherwise, thanks for watching this video on Denki Channel.